Welcome to my channel Book2Fluent. You understand English, but when you speak, your words feel slow, broken, and not natural. What if today you finally learn how to sound like a native speaker without feeling scared or confused? Stay with me till the end, because this will change the way you speak forever. Comment below. Do you feel this problem or not? Chapter 1. The Truth About Native Speakers. When you think about a native English speaker, what do you see in your mind? Maybe you imagine someone who speaks very fast, someone who never makes mistakes, someone who uses big words, and someone who sounds perfect all the time. And then you look at yourself and you feel slow, you feel unsure, and sometimes you feel like you are not good enough. This is the silent struggle that many English learners carry every day. You understand English when you read or listen, but when it is your turn to speak, something inside you stops you. You start thinking too much, you try to remember grammar rules, you try to choose the perfect word, and in that moment your confidence disappears. But here is the truth that no one tells you clearly. Native speakers are not perfect. They do not follow grammar rules in their minds when they speak. They do not stop to think about every word. They speak naturally because they are comfortable, not because they are perfect. And this small difference changes everything. If you listen carefully to native speakers, you will notice something very interesting. They do not always use big words. In fact, most of the time they use very simple sentences. They say things like, "I don't know," "Let me see," "Give me a second," "I think it's fine," and "What do you mean?" These are not difficult sentences. You already know most of these words. But the difference is they use them quickly, naturally, and without fear. They do not try to impress anyone. They just try to express themselves, and that is the real secret. Speaking like a native is not about showing how much English you know. It is about using what you already know in a simple and natural way. When you understand this, something powerful starts to change inside you. You stop chasing perfection, and you start moving toward expression. Now think about your own learning journey. Maybe you have spent many months or even years learning grammar rules. You learn tenses, structures, and long lists of vocabulary. You worked hard, but still, speaking feels difficult. Why? Because you trained your brain to understand English, but you did not train yourself to use it in real life. You collected knowledge, but you did not build a speaking habit. This is where many learners get stuck. They know a lot, but they cannot use it easily. And because of this, they start believing that they are not good at English. But that belief is not true. You are not weak, you just followed the wrong path for speaking. And today, that path changes. Let me tell you something very important. Native speakers also make mistakes. Yes, they do. They forget words. They use wrong grammar sometimes. They repeat themselves. They pause. They correct themselves while speaking. But they do not stop. They keep going. That is why they sound fluent. Fluency is not about being correct all the time. Fluency is about continuing even when you are not perfect. This idea is very powerful, and when you accept it, your fear starts to break. You begin to feel lighter. You begin to feel that maybe speaking is not about being perfect. Maybe it is about being natural. And that thought gives you freedom. There is another truth that will surprise you. Native speakers do not think about English when they speak. They feel it. When they say "I'm hungry," they are not thinking about grammar or sentence structure. They are simply expressing a feeling. This is the level you want to reach. And the good news is, you can reach it step by step. You do not need to become someone else. You just need to change how you practice. Instead of trying to speak perfectly, you start trying to speak simply. Instead of using difficult words, you use easy words with confidence. Instead of waiting for the perfect sentence, you say what you can say right now. This is how natural speaking begins. At this moment, I want you to pause and ask yourself one honest question. Are you trying to sound perfect, or are you trying to express yourself? Because these two paths are very different. One path makes you slow and afraid. The other path makes you free and confident. Native speakers follow the second path. And now, you are going to follow it too. You are going to stop comparing yourself with an imaginary perfect speaker. You are going to start building your own natural voice. And that voice already exists inside you. You just need to bring it out. As you continue watching, something important is happening. Your mindset is changing. You are starting to see English in a new way. Not as a subject, not as a test, but as a tool for communication. And this shift is the first step to speaking like a native. Because when your mind becomes simple, your speech also becomes simple. And when your speech becomes simple, it becomes natural. And when it becomes natural, people understand you easily. That is the goal. Not perfection, but connection. Not big words, but clear meaning. So remember this feeling, this moment where you realize that you do not need to be perfect to speak like a native. You just need to be real, simple, and consistent. This is the foundation of everything you will learn next. And in the next chapter, we are going to break the biggest habit that is slowing you down without you even realizing it. The habit of translating in your mind. Once you understand that, your speaking speed will start to change, and that is where your real transformation begins. Chapter 2. Stop translating. Start feeling. Now let me ask you something very honestly, and I want you to feel this question inside your mind. When you try to speak in English, what happens first? Do you think in your own language, then slowly translate it into English and then try to say it? If yes, then this is the biggest reason why your speaking feels slow, broken, and stressful. You are not alone in this. Almost every learner does this in the beginning. It feels natural because your brain is used to your first language. So when you want to say something, your mind quickly creates the sentence in your own language and then it starts searching for English words. But this process takes time, and while your brain is busy translating, your confidence starts to drop. You feel pressure, you feel fear, and sometimes you just stay silent because you cannot translate fast enough. This is the hidden trap that stops you from sounding natural. Now imagine a different way. Imagine you see a glass of water, and instead of thinking in your language first, you directly think, I need water. No translation, no extra step, just a direct connection between the situation and the English sentence. This is how native speakers think. They do not translate. They connect meaning directly with words. And this is exactly what you are going to learn now. This is not magic, this is a skill. And like every skill, it becomes easier with practice. Let's understand this deeply but simply. Translation is like taking a long road. You start from your language, then move to English, and then finally speak. But direct thinking is like a short road. You see, you feel, and you speak in English immediately. The short road is faster, smoother, and more natural. That is why when you translate, your speech feels slow. And when you start thinking directly in English, your speech becomes faster and more confident. This is the turning point in your journey. At first, your brain will resist this change. It will try to go back to translation because that is your old habit. But you do not need to fight your brain. You just need to guide it slowly. Start with very small and simple sentences. Do not try to speak long or complicated sentences. Keep it easy. For example, when you wake up in the morning, say in your mind, I am awake. When you feel tired, say, I feel tired. When you are hungry, say, I am hungry. These are very simple sentences, but they are powerful because they create a direct connection between your feeling and English words. You are training your brain in a new way. Now let's go deeper. When you look around your room, start naming things in English without translating. You see a chair, you say chair. You see a phone, you say phone. Then slowly move to small sentences. My phone is here. The chair is empty. The room is quiet. You are not thinking in your language first. You are directly connecting what you see with English. This is how children learn a language. They do not translate. They feel and connect. And you can do the same, even as an adult. There will be moments when you do not know the exact word. That is okay. Do not stop. Do not go back to translation. Just use the words you already know. For example, if you do not know the word microwave, you can say, the machine that heats food. You are still communicating. You are still speaking. And that is what matters. Remember, the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to keep the flow. Every time you keep speaking without translating, you become stronger. Every time you stop translating, you move closer to natural English. Now feel this powerful shift inside you. Before, speaking English felt like a test. You had to be correct. You had to think carefully. But now, speaking English starts to feel like a simple action. You see something, you feel something, and you say something. No pressure, no overthinking. This is how native-like speaking begins. It is not about knowing everything. It is about using what you know, instantly and naturally. Let me give you one simple daily habit that can change everything for you. For just 5 minutes every day, talk to yourself in English. Do not worry about mistakes. Just describe your actions. I am sitting, I am opening my phone, I am watching a video. Keep it simple, Keep it real. This small habit will slowly remove the need for translation. Your brain will start thinking directly in English without forcing it. And one day, you will notice something beautiful. You will start speaking without thinking too much. The words will come naturally, and that moment will feel like magic, but it is actually your practice working for you. Right now, you are breaking one of the biggest barriers in English speaking, and that is why this moment is very important. Do not rush. Do not try to become perfect in one day. Just focus on small progress. Every simple sentence you think in English is a step forward. Every moment you avoid translation is a win, and these small wins will build your confidence faster than anything else. But there is one more truth that you need to understand. Even if you stop translating, you might still feel fear when it is time to speak. You might still wait for the right moment. And that is what we are going to break in the next chapter. Because speaking like a native is not just about thinking in English. It is also about having the courage to speak before you feel ready. And that is where your real transformation will begin. Chapter 3. Speak before you feel ready. There is a quiet thought that lives inside many English learners, and maybe it lives inside you too. It says, I will speak when I am ready. I will speak when my English becomes better. I will speak when I feel confident. And at first, this thought feels safe, it feels logical, it feels like a good plan. But here is the truth that changes everything. That moment of feeling completely ready never comes. You keep learning, you keep watching videos, you keep understanding more and more. But when it is time to speak, you still hesitate. You still feel that small fear in your chest. You still think, not now, maybe later. And slowly, days pass, weeks pass, even months pass, and your speaking does not improve the way you want. Not because you are not capable, but because you are waiting for a moment that does not exist. Now take a deep breath and listen carefully. You do not become ready by waiting. You become ready by speaking. This is a powerful shift. Speaking is not the result of confidence. Speaking is the reason confidence grows. Every native speaker you admire did not start perfect. They started by speaking, by trying, by making mistakes, and by continuing even when it felt uncomfortable. And this is exactly what you are going to do now. You are not going to wait anymore. You are going to start speaking, even if your voice feels slow, even if your sentences feel simple, even if your mind feels unsure, because that is how real progress begins. I understand what you feel in those moments. You open your mouth to speak, and suddenly your mind becomes full. Too many thoughts come at the same time. What if I say something wrong? What if people laugh? What if I forget words? And then you stop. You go silent. You choose comfort over growth. But let me tell you something very important. Mistakes are not your enemy. Silence is. Every time you stay silent, you lose a chance to grow. But every time you speak, even with mistakes, you take a step forward. And these steps, small and simple, will change your English completely. So how do you start speaking when you do not feel ready? You start small, very small. You do not try to give a speech. You do not try to speak perfectly. You just start with simple sentences. You talk to yourself. Yes, yourself. Because that is the safest place to begin. When you wake up, say, I am awake. When you sit, say, I am sitting. When you feel something, say, I feel tired or I feel good. These sentences may look very easy, but they are powerful because they build your speaking habit without fear. You are training your voice, you are training your brain, you are creating a new version of yourself step by step. Then slowly you move to the next level. You stand in front of a mirror and speak. At first, it may feel strange. You may even laugh, but stay with it. Look at yourself and say simple things. Hello, how are you? Today I feel good. I want to learn English. You are not performing, you are practicing. And with each sentence, your comfort grows. Your voice becomes stronger. Your fear becomes smaller. This is how confidence is built, not in one big moment, but in many small moments. There will be days when you feel stuck again. Days when words do not come easily. Days when you feel like you are not improving. And in those moments, your old habit will try to come back. It will tell you to stop, to wait, to go back to only listening and learning. But this is the moment where you must choose differently. You must choose to speak anyway, because consistency is more powerful than motivation. You do not need to feel excited every day. You just need to keep going. And every time you continue, you become stronger than your fear. Now imagine something beautiful. Imagine yourself after a few weeks of this practice. You are speaking simple English every day. You are not perfect, but you are not silent anymore. Your words come faster. Your thoughts feel clearer. You do not freeze like before. You do not panic like before. You speak, you pause, you continue, and people understand you. This is the moment where everything starts to change. Not because you became perfect, but because you stopped waiting. Remember this deeply. Native speakers are not confident because they know everything. They are confident because they speak anyway. They trust their voice. And now, you are learning to trust yours. You are learning to speak before you feel ready, because that is the only way to truly become ready. This is your turning point. This is where your journey becomes real. And now that you are ready to speak, the next step becomes even more exciting. Because speaking alone is powerful, but speaking naturally like a native requires something more. It requires learning how real sentences are used in daily life. And that is exactly what we are going to explore in the next chapter, where you will discover how simple native sentences can transform the way you speak forever. Chapter 4. Learn real native sentences. Now that you have started speaking without waiting and you are slowly building your confidence, there is one powerful step that can change your English very fast. And this step is simple, but most learners ignore it. You do not need more grammar rules. You do not need long vocabulary lists. What you really need is real sentences. The kind of sentences that native speakers use every day without thinking. Because when you learn how real people actually speak, your English starts to sound natural automatically. Right now, maybe you try to build every sentence from the beginning. You think about grammar, then words, then structure, and by the time you finish, your sentence feels slow and sometimes unnatural. This is why speaking feels heavy. But native speakers do not build sentences like this again and again. They use ready-made patterns that they already know. These patterns are like shortcuts. And today, you are going to learn how to use them. Think about this carefully. When a native speaker says something like, "Give me a second," they are not creating that sentence in that moment. They already know it. It is already stored in their mind as one piece. The same happens when they say, "What do you mean?" or "Let me check," or "I don't think so." These are not difficult sentences, but they are powerful because they are used again and again. And when you start using these kinds of sentences, your English begins to sound natural without extra effort. This is what we call sentence chunks, small groups of words that work together and carry meaning. When you learn these chunks, you do not have to think too much, you just use them. Now imagine how this can change your speaking. Instead of trying to create every sentence from zero, you start using these ready sentences. You say, "I think it's okay," "I'm not sure," "Can you repeat that?" "Just a minute," and suddenly your speech feels smoother. You are not stopping again and again. You are not searching for every single word. You are using language the way it is naturally used. This is exactly how native-like speaking begins. Not by building everything, but by using what is already built. So how do you learn these real sentences? The answer is simple, but you must do it with awareness. When you watch a video, listen to a conversation, or hear someone speaking English, do not just understand the meaning and move on. Pay attention to how they say it. Notice the small sentences they use. Notice the patterns. When you hear something useful, pause for a moment and repeat it. Say it again and again until it feels comfortable in your mouth. This is how you make that sentence part of your own speaking. Let's make it even easier. Choose 5 simple sentences every day. Not difficult ones, just simple and useful sentences. For example, "I'll call you later." That sounds good. "I don't get it, it depends." Let's see. Practice these sentences during your day. Use them when you talk to yourself. Say them out loud, repeat them with feeling, and slowly these sentences will become natural for you. You will not need to think about them, they will come out automatically, just like native speakers. There is something very important you need to understand here. Repetition is not boring. Repetition is power. When you repeat a sentence many times, you are training your brain and your mouth together. You are building speed. You are building confidence. You are building flow. And this is exactly what you need if you want to speak like a native. Do not rush to learn hundreds of sentences. Start small. Repeat deeply. Use what you learn. That is how real progress happens. Sometimes you may feel like these sentences are too simple. Your mind may say, I already know this. But knowing is not the same as using. You may understand a sentence when you hear it, but can you say it quickly and naturally in a real moment? That is the real question. And that is why practice matters. Because speaking is not about knowledge, it is about use. The more you use these simple sentences, the stronger your speaking becomes. Now feel this shift again. Before, you were trying to build perfect sentences. Now, you are collecting real sentences and using them naturally. Before, speaking felt like a difficult task. Now, it starts to feel like a simple habit. And this is the direction you want to go. Because native-like speaking is not about complexity. It is about simplicity used with confidence and flow. As you continue this practice, something beautiful will happen. Your sentences will start connecting with each other. You will not just say one sentence. You will say two, then three, then more. Your speech will start to flow. And when that happens, you will feel a new level of confidence that you never felt before. You will realize that you do not need to know everything to speak well. You just need to use what you know in the right way. But there is still one important piece missing. You are learning real sentences and you are speaking more, but sometimes your words may still feel slow or not smooth enough. This is because your brain is learning, but your mouth needs more training. And that is exactly what we are going to focus on in the next chapter. Because speaking like a native is not only about knowing what to say, it is also about training your mouth to say it smoothly, clearly, and naturally. Chapter 5. Train your mouth, not just your brain. Now something very important is waiting for you here. Something that many learners never understand, and because of that, they stay stuck for a long time. You already know words, you already understand many sentences. You are even starting to think in English and speak simple sentences. But still, sometimes your speech feels slow, unclear, or not smooth. You know what you want to say, but your mouth does not follow easily. This creates frustration. You feel like your brain is ready, but your voice is not. And this is where the real problem is. Speaking English is not only a thinking skill, it is also a physical skill. Your mouth, your tongue, your lips, and your voice all need training. Just like your body needs exercise to become strong, your mouth needs practice to speak smoothly. Think about it like this. If you learn how to swim by reading books, will you become a good swimmer? No. You must go into the water. You must move your body. You must practice again and again. The same is true for speaking English. You cannot become fluent just by understanding. You must use your voice. You must move your mouth. You must repeat sounds until they feel natural. This is the step that changes everything. And this is where most learners finally break their limits. Now let me introduce you to one of the most powerful methods in the world for speaking. It is simple, but it works like magic when you do it daily. This method is called shadowing. Do not worry about the name. The idea is very easy. You listen to a native speaker, and you repeat exactly what they say, almost at the same time. You copy their words, their speed, their rhythm, and their tone. You become like their shadow. You do not think too much. You do not stop to translate. You just listen and repeat. And when you do this again and again, something amazing happens. Your mouth starts learning the natural flow of English. Your pronunciation becomes clearer. Your speed becomes faster. And your confidence grows without forcing it. At first, shadowing may feel difficult. The speaker may sound fast. You may miss some words. You may feel like you cannot follow. But this is normal. Do not stop. Slow down the audio if you need. Start with very short sentences. Listen once, then repeat. Listen again. Repeat again. Focus on copying the sound, not understanding every word perfectly. Your goal is to train your mouth, not your brain. And slowly, your mouth will start to move more easily. Words will come out more smoothly. You will feel less pressure when speaking. Let's make this even more practical. Choose a short clip every day. It can be from a simple video, a conversation, or even a sentence you like. Play it, listen carefully, then repeat it out loud. Not in your mind, but with your voice. Feel the words, feel the rhythm. If the speaker says, "I don't think it's a good idea," you repeat the same sentence again and again until it feels natural. You are not just learning the sentence, you are training your mouth to speak it like a native. And this is the key difference. There is another powerful thing happening here that you may not notice at first. When you repeat sentences again and again, your fear starts to disappear. Why? Because your mouth becomes familiar with English sounds. Before, your mouth was not used to these sounds, so it felt uncomfortable. But now, with practice, it becomes easier. And when something becomes easier, your confidence automatically increases. You start speaking without that heavy feeling. You start trusting your voice. Sometimes you may feel shy to speak out loud. Maybe you are alone, or maybe you are worried about others hearing you. But remember this, your growth is more important than your comfort. Find a quiet place if you need. Close the door. Use your voice freely. Because every time you speak out loud, you are building a stronger version of yourself. A version that can express, communicate, and connect. Now imagine yourself after a few weeks of this practice. You are speaking more smoothly. Your words are clearer. Your speed is better. You do not struggle like before. You still make mistakes sometimes, but you do not stop. You keep going. And that is what makes you sound natural. Not perfection, but flow. Not silence, but expression. This is the moment where you start feeling like a real speaker, not just a learner. Let this feeling stay with you. You are not just learning English. You are building a new ability. You are training your voice to speak with confidence and ease. And every day you practice, you move closer to that natural, native-like flow that you want. But there is one final step that will complete your transformation. You have learned how to think in English. You have started speaking without fear. You are using real sentences, and now you are training your mouth. The last piece is to make English a natural part of your daily life. Not something you do sometimes, but something you live with every day. And that is exactly what we are going to explore in the final chapter, where everything comes together in the most simple and powerful way. Chapter 6. Make English your daily life. Now you are standing at a very powerful point in your journey. You have changed the way you think. You have started speaking without waiting. You are using real sentences, and you are training your mouth to sound smoother and more natural. But there is one final step that will turn all of this into something permanent, something strong, something that becomes a part of you. And that step is simple, but it changes everything. You must stop treating English like a subject and start living it like a daily habit. Because native speakers do not practice English for 1 hour a day. They live in it. They use it when they wake up, when they talk, when they think, when they feel. And now you are going to bring that same energy into your own life in a very simple and realistic way. Look at your daily routine. From morning to night, you do many small things. You wake up, you check your phone, you eat, you walk, you think, you feel, you react. These moments are already part of your life. You do not need extra time to learn English. You just need to bring English into these moments. When you wake up, instead of thinking in your language, say in English, "I am awake. Today is a new day." When you go to the kitchen, say, "I am making tea," or "I am eating breakfast." When you look outside, say, "The weather is nice," or "It looks cloudy." These are small sentences, but they are very powerful. Because now English is not something separate from your life, it is becoming part of your life. At first, this may feel slow. You may forget to think in English. You may go back to your old habit. But do not worry, this is normal. Change takes time. The goal is not to be perfect every moment. The goal is to return again and again. Every time you remember, you come back to English. And slowly, this becomes natural. Just like any habit, it starts small, then grows stronger with repetition. Now let's go deeper. When you use your phone, change your thinking language to English. When you read something simple, read it with attention. When you watch a short video, do not just watch, but listen to how sentences are used. When you hear something useful, repeat it, speak it, use it in your own way. You are not just consuming English, you are interacting with it. And this interaction is what builds real fluency. Passive learning gives you knowledge, but active use gives you power. There is another beautiful habit that can change your confidence very fast. At the end of your day, take a few minutes and talk to yourself in English about your day. Say, "Today I woke up early. I felt tired, but I tried my best. I watched a video. I learned something new." Keep it simple. You do not need perfect sentences. You just need honest expression. This small habit connects your thoughts, your experiences, and your English together. And when that connection becomes strong, speaking becomes natural. You may also feel something new during this process. You may feel emotions in English. You may start thinking in English without trying. You may speak small sentences without planning. And when this starts happening, you will realize that you are not forcing English anymore. You are living it. And that is the real transformation. That is the moment where English stops being difficult and starts becoming natural. But remember something very important. This journey is not about speed, it is about consistency. Some days will feel easy, some days will feel slow. Sometimes you will feel confident, sometimes you will feel unsure. But if you keep showing up, if you keep speaking, if you keep thinking in English, then progress is guaranteed. You do not need to rush. You just need to continue. Because every small effort is building something inside you. Something strong, something real, something that cannot be taken away. Now imagine yourself after some time. You are not the same person anymore. You are not silent when you want to speak. You are not afraid of making mistakes. You are not translating every sentence. You are thinking, feeling, and speaking in English naturally. Your sentences are simple, but they are clear. Your voice is not perfect, but it is confident. And people understand you. You express yourself. You connect. This is what it means to speak like a native. Not perfect grammar, not big words, but natural, clear, and confident communication. Take this moment and feel proud of yourself, because you are not just watching a video. You are changing your mindset. You are changing your habits. You are building a new skill that will stay with you for life. And the most beautiful part is, you can start this right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. One small sentence, one small thought, one small step. That is enough to begin. Sold. All tune sands. So now your journey is in your hands. Speak today, think today, practice today. Keep it simple, keep it real. And slowly, step by step, you will become the person who does not just learn English, but lives it every single day.